Hi guys, it's Kales, and this is my November wrap-up. As you may have noticed, I'm in a bit of a different location, and I moved, which has been really exciting and awesome. I moved out of my parents' house, and I'm in my own apartment now, which is awesome. So you may see me in, like, different arrangements now, because I gotta figure out how to film in here, which is really cool to think about. Now we're going to talk about the 11 books that I read in the month of November and what I thought of them. The first one that I read was for the end of Spooktober, and it was The Haunting of Hill House, which was the group book, and I love you all, and I'm so grateful you guys participated, but I hated this book. I thought it wasn't scary at all. I thought it was really rather stupid, and I didn't understand it. I was like, why do all these people lack this common sense? And like, it just didn't make any sense to me. Why are you at this house in the first place? Nobody's keeping you here. It's like these three people get invited to this house to talk about supernatural occurrences in the house, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not like Clue where they're like blackmailed and locked there. I'm like, you guys could have walked out at any given time. But no, they didn't leave until they were insane. I didn't like it. It didn't make any sense to me. Whatever. The next book that I read was Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, and I was really nervous to read this book at first because it is about a girl with anxiety, and I have anxiety myself, and so I was worried about any of like her panic attacks and stuff, and I took a brave risk and I listened to it actually on audiobook, and it wasn't terrible. And I say that in the sense that if you do have anxiety disorder, it's okay to read. She has a very severe form of social anxiety, and they don't ever really tell you why, which I will say was one of the most frustrating things about this book. I know that you were like just supposed to accept the fact that she has anxiety and you leave it be, but like I really wanted to know what happened to her to lead her to this, what trauma she was facing from it, but I don't really know what it was, and it was frustrating. I thought it was cute. I like Sophie Kinsella in terms of her like light, easy reads, because I read another one of her this month. But I gotta be honest, guys, that was okay. Like 3 out of 5 stars. I'm still keeping it because I think it's a good representation of anxiety, and I did like the family aspect of it. I thought her mom was hilarious. But to me, it was just kind of, could have been better. I also don't like that she used the guy to like help her get out of the house. I think she should have found other ways to do it, but that's okay. Then I read this lovely book called Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day, and I loved this movie, so I wanted to read the book. And while the book is a little bit different than the movie, they still had the same charm and the same delightfulness about it and the same like coming of age story, so to speak. And I just absolutely loved how cute it was and great. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I just really enjoyed this light, quick read. It was so sweet and just so good. It's about this woman who is a governess who accidentally takes this calling at a woman's house who is American and is very superfluous and a little out there, has 3 lovers, and is trying to decide which one she wants to be with, and so Miss Pettigrew gets sent on this crazy adventure. It's lots of fun, and the movie's worth a watch too. So then the next 2 books that I read were from The Custard Protocol by KalesKorner, and it was Prudence and Imprudence, and oh my gosh, I adored this series so much. It was a great continuation about learning about Lady Macone and Lord Macone's daughter, Prudence, and her adventures. You get to see all these grown-up versions of the characters but get to experience their children, and it's such a great continuation. Speaking of KalesKorner, I managed to read the first 3 books of her finishing school series, Ettiquette and Espionage, Curtisies and Conspiracies, Waistcoats and Weapontry. I really liked these. I'm almost done. I'm so close to being done with the 4th one too. So I will have read almost all of KalesKorner's entire collection in about 3 months. I'm a little obsessed. I quite like it a lot. I wasn't a big fan of the start of these. This is a prelude series to the Parasol Protectorate, and it is about this girl named Sophronia who gets taken on to this finishing school for intelligences, espionage, and spies, essentially. And it's a great series. I love that they get older. The first 2 books, they're like 14, 15, and it's a little too young for me. But in this one, it's like 16, and in the one I'm reading right now, it's 17, and they are just, oh, guys, they're so much better when they get older. And I love the weaving of the supernatural and like the supernatural versus the industrialism, and it's so good. Such a great prelude, and finding out how those soulless characters came to be. It's a great expansion on the world, and a really interesting YA series too, I would agree. I just wasn't the biggest fan of the first two, but the series has caught my eye, and I've continued to read it, obviously, because I love the characters. Again, plots in Gail Carriger books are not my favorite. They're not as intense and exciting and moving forward as I feel that they could be, but I read it for the characters, because I love the characters and I love the world. Guys, then I read this book called Last Call at the Nightshade Lounge. Guys, this book is about 20-somethings, which I did appreciate, who make alcoholic beverages and drink them, and it gives them superpowers. Like a screwdriver gives you super strength. And, like, they're trying to hunt for the ultimate Long Island iced tea, which, like, gives you immortality. And it's set in Chicago. And they fight demons with these alcoholic superpowers. And I kid you not, that's the plot of this book. And it's hilarious because if you try and think of it as, like, alchemy or potions making rather than simply they're drinking alcohol to get superpowers, it's really entertaining. The other thing that I liked about this book was the fact that there was diversity, but it wasn't about the fact that there was diversity. In, like, the main group of people, we had a white nerd guy, we had a Chinese American girl who was actually the lead character, we had an African American girl and a transgender guy, and it was awesome. Like, but it didn't matter. Like, they just were there as a part of the group, and it was really about the fighting demons and making alcoholic drinks that give you superpowers. That plot is just so hilarious to me still. It's really good, and you guys should pick it up. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars just because it's a fun read. Don't expect anything more than that, though. Speaking of another fun read, another book that I read was Sophie Kinsella's The Undomestic Goddess. This was recommended to me as, like, another light, fun read if I wanted to continue reading Sophie Kinsella. She wrote the Shopaholic series, but I was told to read her standalones, and I just got this book, and I listened to it on audio. No, I read this book, but I rented it from the library, and then I recently bought it, and because it's so cute. It's a rom-com in a book. Guys, literally, this high-powered lawyer chick makes a huge 55 million pound mistake and literally runs away from her job, runs into this house because she has to pee or get a drink of water or something, and they're hiring for housekeepers. And so she magically lies her way to get this job, but she's, like, never turned on a vacuum before. She doesn't know how to cook anything, and she falls in love with the gardener, and it's literally a rom-com in a book. So if you're looking for that, it's cute, it's adorable, but again, don't look or expect anything beyond that. I'm just realizing as I'm doing this, I read a lot of, like, really cutesy books that are, like, not full of substance, but are, like, you know, cute. I feel like I need to go read some Dickens or something to, like, you know, get my reading cred back. The last book that I read this month was The Bookshop on the Corner, and I liked this book too. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because it is for any book lover out there. It's basically an Under the Tuscan Sun kind of story where this librarian loses her job because they are closing libraries in England, and she goes away to Scotland to start a bookmobile, and she lives in Scotland and finds this amazing little apartment on a farm, and the farmer's really hot but really grumpy, and yet she finds this kid that she can help out, and she's giving books to the town, or selling books to the town. She's not giving them to them, but it's very cute and a good story and fun things about trains, and any book lovers will get the references in there, and you just dream of doing something like that. So it's a fun, like, fulfillment of us book lovers and our dreams. It's basically the life we all want to have. Here are 3 out of the 11 books that I read this month. If you have any comments about them, leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, guys, bye! Hi guys, it's Kales, and this is my December wrap-up. But first, I want to talk about the 11 books that I read in the month of December and what I thought about them. The first one that I read for the month of November was... It's not my December wrap-up.